Hello and welcome to A Celtic World, the YouTube channel and podcast made by Celtic fans all over the world for Celtic fans all over this great big world. And look at this, we have three continents being featured tonight. We got North America, Australia, and Asia. So let's say hello to everyone in that order. Shawnee boy from Philly, what up?
Hey Gav, thanks for having me on. I'm on little
Thanks for
rest
having me
today.
on. You're always on doing our North America show once a week with
Yeah, I
great
just
success.
feel like I just finished up last night's.
You did. You're going to be talking about some of the same stuff. I watched your show last night. Covered lots of subjects and multiple games and all sorts of stuff. So we're going to be focusing mostly on Aberdeen tonight.
Sounds good.
And joining us unusually on a Thursday is Stephen in Australia. Stephen, what brings you to these parts on a Thursday?
I don't know. It's nothing better to do today, Gav. I lead quite a sad and lonely existence. And I thought, yeah, I'll just pop on. I know you're tolerating me here just because you feel sorry for me, but here I am.
Three incontinents, asks John Clements. That might be the case. I'm not sure. We don't know each other that well.
Scarily close to the truth.
And David in Bangkok. Hey, David.
Hail, hail. Yeah, I don't know if the incontinence got to do with the fact that I don't think we've had an easy game supporting Celtic for the whole of this season. Yeah, looking forward to the show, lads. Hail, hail.
Absolutely. All right. So, hello to everyone in the chat, by the way. Let me just have a quick look at the hellos. There's Paddy Lavery. Oh, he's saying hello to 420, not to us. Oh, there he is. He's saying hello to us. Hello, Paddy. What about you? Paddy in sunny Belfast. 420 somewhere. Good morning, all. Hail, hail. And Smith, catching this from the beginning for a change. Well, that's great. Great to have you. Always a delight. Smell like love. And too many to mention. So I'll just drop a couple more of these in. What's this now? The Margarita Pracatin intro is delicious. Well, I know who you're referring to there. That is, I love you, Clive James. This female singer who used to be on the Clive James show. Her name was Margarita Pracatin. Do we all know who that is?
I have no idea.
Do you two? Do you two know
Yeah,
who that is? You
I
two must
remember.
know.
Nope.
Yeah, but I don't know how that relates to my intro. Let's think about
I
that.
think it's got a little
Anyway.
sort of Latin feel about it, isn't it?
Oh, the theme tune he means. I thought you meant me saying hello and welcome and blah.
Yeah.
Oh, the theme tune sounds a bit Margarita
Yeah.
Pracatin. All right. Okay. Well, enough of that confusion. Let's move it on. What are we going to be talking about today, guys? Well, here is the thumbnail. The handy Scandy, as I've dubbed him, yet again bails us out. Yeah, that's the case. And there's a couple of players in the background who we're going to talk about also, KT and Scalesy. I'm getting a bit bored of talking about Benjamin Nygren being an enigma. He's just a vital player to us, Shawnee.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Always, it's weird because like he seems to like disappear for stretches of the game, and then just he always is kind of Johnny on the spot in the right place. And I mean it's not luck, I don't think either. He's just good at gliding into those positions where he can score goals, and we don't have anybody else like that in the side. Doesn't seem like anybody else is able to get on the end of those crosses. Like when we get like to the byline, like I think it was Forrest last night who put that one in. Like so, it's like he's just vital to the side. Even frustrating at times, but always just gets those little tap in goals and his foot in, or like a little header 3 feet away. Like he's just really good at being in the right spot.
Which was all the more surprising then, Stephen, to me anyway, that he wasn't in the starting lineup. Were you surprised by that?
Yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised at that. I wasn't too surprised to see Schwankara up front. I kind of thought he would be back in the team. And the only other sort of eye-catching thing was that Sinisalo retained his place in goal, which is probably the right decision, I think. But yeah, Nygren's been really good for us. I thought he had a really, really good second half against Rangers on the weekend. And I think, the problem with Nygren, and he's not so much of an enigma, more of a paradox, in that he scores all our goals, right? So you can't leave him out the team, but at the same time, including him in the team sort of weakens the midfield, if you know what I mean. So the problems we've got in midfield are a lot to do with the fact that Nygren's not the type of player who's going to track back. He's not going to, he's not going to press high. He's not going to press with great energy. But he is scoring goals. So if you take him out the team, you're going to lose those goals. The fact that no one else in the team is scoring goals is the reason why he has to be there. And I think it's also the reason why our midfield looks a bit powder puff at times, and did again last night, I thought. But you got to give him credit. Comes off the bench and scores a goal. So he's done it again.
I wonder what he would be like in the midfield with some big, muscular players around him, and he's just given the freedom to do his own thing, and then people don't notice those inadequacies in his game. That'd be interesting to see, but certainly not the case with our midfield. David, anything else to note from that? Happy to see Sinisalo keeping his place. And what do you think has happened there? Do you think Schmeichel has sort of volunteered to take a step back or something? I've got a feeling that's what happened. What do you think?
It could be. But just get back to Nygren. I think the second half against the Huns last weekend, he was brilliant. Well, not brilliant, but he was very, very good. I think we saw more to his game in the second half against Rangers than we see in many other games where all we seem to notice is when he's just scored a goal. I felt that his performance in the second half at the weekend, he should have started certainly ahead of McCowan. And the fact that we went through the first half, apart from the very early goal, we created nothing. Schwankara got no service, but as soon as Nygren was on, within 10 minutes the ball was in the net. So I think there's more to his game than just the guy that turns up out of the blue to score goals. And I'm hoping that he'll be starting against the Huns on Sunday. In terms of Schmeichel, I think it was good, whether or not he's injured or whatever the true story is. I also felt sorry for Murray, who's shown there in being in the starting 11, and managed to get injured in the warm-up, which is pretty much the season in a microcosm with our injury record. But I imagine we'll be talking about Arthur fairly soon. But yeah, that was it was interesting to see that lineup. But I'm hoping it's not repeated the first 11 for Sunday.
Well, as the comment there that I put up suggests, is Martin O'Neill just, rotating the squad and getting the best out of players and using them as impact subs? And, maybe this is what you have to do if you sort of start all these guys. You don't always get the best out of them. Possibly the Tinecti dilemma is part of that. So, I mean, you can't really argue if he keeps getting results, Shawnee.
No, you can't. I feel like he's been maybe not getting the starting lineup correct every game, but the subs are correct and timed right. I feel like perfectly to fix things in the second half if things aren't going well. So, like last night, starting Tinecti I just feel like that may not have been the best spot to start him. I think in that kind of game, he can be like that impact sub kind of guy. But then again, he makes the right move and bringing Nygren on, and Forrest at the right time has been huge in the last 2 games. Like both the cross against Rangers on Sunday that led to the handball, and then last night leading to Nygren's goal. So like he's pushing the right buttons, Martin. I feel like, and there's just some kind of fight in this. We were talking about it last night. Like there's a fight in the team. It may be ugly, and they're not the most talented Celtic team by far, but they do have a fight to be able to grind out games like last night and a lot of the ones more recently. So
Okay, well, let's get into last night's game. Get cracking here. Stephen, McCowan corner in 4 minutes. Skills, you can see there already on the move. Gets to the ball, and presumably he was supposed to be heading it, but it wasn't the best cross in the world, like McCowan's deliveries all night. But he improvises to hook it into a dangerous area. And there's Tierney, of all people, to apply the finishing touch. Now, you're often talking, Stephen, about we need an early goal. We got one. And then the rest of the game went according to plan, right?
Yeah, obviously it did. So yeah, we got an early goal, but that, I mean, this season it's been no guarantee that the game's going to go to plan. And the second goal is now becoming more vital than the first. But it was good to get the goal early. It settled the nerves a bit at the time. It sort of raised our expectations a bit that we might be, we might be.
Oh dear. You'd raised our expectations that your connection might be solid for the entirety of this broadcast. I suspect Stephen's about to disappear. What was he about to say there, David? Our name might be on the trophy.
Look, I think at the end of the day, it was 3 points. All we needed to do was we had to win yesterday. I think there were some people talking before saying that let's use this as an opportunity to to get the goal difference improved. And I felt after scoring so quickly,
that might be on,
given it was a 3 o'clock start Bangkok time this morning. I was hoping to, we would probably get 2 or 3 goals up at half time, and I could have done a gav, so I go to bed at half time. But I don't know if you know that expression, Shawnee,
No.
to do a gav. But sadly Aberdeen equalised, and I was having to to stay up, so I got to my bed about 5:30, I think. So all good. We got the 3 points, and that was all that mattered.
Yeah, I watched it this morning in a mini cone of silence, as you might say, Shawnee, on your show, which just had to get me to do the school run and back without looking at my phone, and like not playing music in the car or anything in case I saw a notification, just driving in silence, thinking about the game. But yeah, I've missed a couple of the great comebacks, the comeback where Araujo scored the winner, and then the comeback against Rangers for the draw. I saw neither of those second halves. So frustrated was I.
Oh, okay.
So that's a bad show. All right. Looping cross on 13 minutes, Shawnee, that could have caught Sinisalo out. That's one of those things that just goes by in a game and you think nothing more of it. But, if he had let that in, then there would have been calls for the experience of Schmeichel to return.
Right. Or if they scored on the ensuing corner, it would have been he had to play that ball better and catch it. But yeah, I forgot about that play. That I think I was trying to remember. But yeah, that was it. Did put him in a bad spot, and he made it look easy. So, but could have been bad, and then could have been bad on the corner because we don't handle set pieces too well. So.
No, indeed. All right, well, this is Scales now conceding the penalty. You can see him kicking through the player there. That's what happened. He sticks his leg out in front. Scales goes to clear the ball. There's a guy's leg in the way. It's a penalty. That's a bit annoying, isn't it, David?
Yeah, it's a pity that Stephen's pulled out, because normally Stephen is Scales' biggest fan, or
But I
maybe
think
not.
from your comments in the group chat, you're about to fill those shoes today.
Yeah. Yesterday was by far. It was very poor performance.
Do you think so?
I think
I don't
I
think so.
thought he was poor. I think the only contribution really was the fact that McCowan's corner was so bad that he managed to get a foot to it and put it back for KT. But I thought he was poor, and I thought that the fact that we're playing a young guy up front, the young guy beside him, Arthur, and here's Stephen back to confirm that we all think Scales is pish. But I felt that such a stupid mistake so early on, and I'm not saying it went downhill from there, but I thought some of his touch was poor, his passing. He was kind of firing the ball at players rather than some sort of close control. And it's not a case of if all else fails, blame Scales. But although if it rhymes, then I think we should stick with it. But I thought that before the game, people were talking about Arthur replacing Murray, and I think there's a good call for Arthur to replace Scales on Sunday. I know we've only got about 10 games left maximum for him to play, and we're only getting him match fit for him to go back to Brentford. But at the end of the day, if he's better than the options that we have available, we have to pick him. Yeah, I mean, Glasgow Celtic. I mean, as I say, it's good that Scales has got fans. I'm not his biggest fan.
Well, I'm one of them. I agree with these comments more than yours, I have to say, David.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
But Stephen, are you going to do as David suggests and also point the finger at Scales having a poor performance last night, or how do you think he played overall?
Well, I think he was okay, to be honest. I think the penalty was almost unforgivable, but I don't think I wouldn't point the finger just at him for that. We're really poor at getting the ball out of the box when it comes in, and we just don't seem to get on the second balls as quick as we should, and that's what led to the issue. And obviously he's came through the back of the Aberdeen striker, and it was a penalty, and then that was poor. But I thought overall he was okay, and he dealt pretty okay with most of the things Aberdeen threw at him. I think his centre back partner Arthur, I don't know. I'm not really buying into all this stuff with him about him being so good, and he should replace Scales. I thought he was like a slightly better version of Murray. Arthur, in that he's big boy, big physical, big unit, and he won a lot of duels in the air. He was very physical, can fight through the back of the strikers a few times, and he was good for that point of view. But I also thought he struggled a little bit on the deck when he got the ball down, just very much like all the rest of our centre halves. And he was okay, but probably no better than that. But he's not going to be. I mean, regardless of what you think about Scales, he's going to play till the end of the season because Martinoneill likes him. That much is clear. And in fact, almost every manager he's played under has liked him. So the only manager he spent any time out the team with was Wilfred Nancy, and you know what happened to him. So the managers like him. I know he's, as you say, he's not everybody's favourite, and I think, his distribution can be frustrating at times. But managers love those types of players who just give 100%. And between now and the end of the season, I think it's clear that it's not going to be silky football that's going to win us the league. It's just going to be pure grit and determination. And we're just going to have to get down in the trenches and scrap for every point. And I'm okay with skills in the team to help out with that.
Well, as you can see from the comments there, it's a mixed bag, as always with Celtic fans, There's no one unifying theory about anything whatsoever. But I think we can all agree it was a decent penalty, Shawnee. Can't really point fingers. You just went the wrong way.
Yeah, it was well taken. I said this last night, and all throughout the season, I have no faith in either of our keepers saving a penalty, and so it's no expectations at all for that to happen. And likewise, not much faith that our players are going to score penalties. So I kind of dread that part of the game.
Yeah, you're right. Well, what about this then, Shawnee? Give us your take on this handball shot.
Yeah, I took some heat on this last night.
Did you jump up and scream for it in your house? I think I heard you saying you did.
No, I didn't. I wouldn't say I was working at the time, so I didn't really get to jump up and scream at anything. But for me, I thought it was, and showing that shot right there, I think is pretty definitive. The announcers, I know, were saying like he had his arms at his side, but I mean that's not substantially away from his body, but I think enough away from his body to make himself bigger. And in this case, yeah, it blocked a cross that was putting the ball into a pretty dangerous spot. So I thought it was a pretty obvious penalty, but a lot of people disagreed with me last night. So I was taking a little bit of heat from the crew I had on, which is surprising because I'm usually I think a little more, having been a referee in my life, I can, a lot of times see where calls come from, like that go against us. But in this case, I was like, yeah, that's I feel like a pretty obvious penalty for me.
Well, yet again, people in the comments, differing views. And the commentary seemed to just sort of gloss over it and not cause much of a fuss about it. At least I was watching on Celtic TV. Stephen, oh no, let's go to David. We haven't heard from David for a while. Your take on this?
That was a definite penalty. I saw the comment you flashed up there about how Pinball thinks the ball was at his side, and the photo you've shown is pretty clear. I mean, you could get the the bus through that space between his side and the his arm. Also, that way, immediately after it, he does that thing where you've been caught stealing something out of the cookie jar and you put your hand immediately behind your back. I mean, it was a blatant penalty, and that still shows exactly why, if it had been the Huns, they would have got it and no one would have complained because it wasn't in a natural position.
I think that's the thing. It's just about within the sort of range where you can argue about it.
But it's not even close to. It's not even close to the ball. You can argue if it was the first defender.
We can argue about it if you want, and that's my point. Is like if you want that to be a penalty, it's a definite penalty. If you desperately don't want to give a penalty, you can say, "Oh no, come on, his arms are kind of pointing down and not that far away." Yeah. So there's a subjective element to all these decisions, and they could just about get away with saying that wasn't a penalty, just about. Which surprises me even more because the later decision we'll come on to about the offside, I think, falls into a similar category. They could have drawn, well, we'll come on to it later, but they could have drawn different lines on that. And, had they both gone against us, we'd be going mental about them both, I think. But the fact that we got one and not the other, and we won the game, sort of softens the blow. Stephen, quickly, your thoughts on this before we move on?
For me, I agree with both the guys. It was a fairly obvious penalty decision and quite an easy one as well. I think, the guys, I don't see the debate. The guy's hands well away from his body. He's made himself bigger. and he's blocked the cross going into the box, and Svankara was running in behind him. So he's prevented that ball reaching Svankara, who would have then had a shot on goal. So it's an absolute stonewall penalty. Stonewaller, Gav.
Yeah,
and
there we go. Ding-ling.
And the only thing I'll say was it was Andrew Dallas on VAR, so I wasn't expecting it to be given, and I was proved correct.
Yeah, I was screaming for a penalty, let's be clear. I was screaming for a penalty. I couldn't believe how quickly they moved on. I think it was a penalty. Should have been a penalty. And it's outrageous that it wasn't given. But is it outrageous? Well, I mean, there's plausible deniability somewhere in there, a sliver of it. And that's the bit of floating debris that they cling to.
The only relevant question really is, would Rangers have got that penalty? And I think 100% they would have. As David said, they would have been awarded the penalty and no one would have complained about it.
Can't argue with that.
All right. Well, how about this is the Sinisalo moment now? Been a lot of talk about Sinisalo, maybe too much talk about how he's a competent goalkeeper, some people saying. And, we've got to get him in, ahead of Schmeichel because, he has a level of competence and he's, he'll never pull off great saves and stuff like that, but he's an okay guy. And that's better than, shots going through Schmeichel in the middle of the goal. But Johnny boy, there was nothing less than spectacular about this save, surely.
Yeah, and it's something we're not used to seeing, like those. I mean, particularly that was pretty high up in the air. Schmeichel not diving to his left and getting those kind of full extension saves. It's just something we haven't seen this season. So yeah, it was a beautiful save and kept us in the game. So like, all credit to Sinisalo on that one, and that has to be the keeper for the remainder of the season for me. I can't see how you can switch back at this point to Schmeichel. So hope to see more of that.
Oh, I seem to have saved loads of photographs of this save. So there's a couple more. Stephen, did you love that?
Yeah, it was a very good save. Interesting though that he's diving to his left and he went with his right hand to make the save, and that's something that nearly said Peter Schmeichel, Kasper Schmeichel's been criticised for all season, is by going with the wrong hand. But Sinisalo did exactly the same thing, but obviously he's younger, a bit more agile, bit of a quicker reaction time, and he got a hand to the ball. So very good save.
Well, I think the difference, David, maybe you'll disagree with this, is that was a high shot going into the very top of the goal. And that's the purpose of going with the right hand, is to get so much height, as maximum height that you can get. Whereas Schmeichel was going with his right hand, even when it wasn't that high a shot, when the left might have been the preferable choice. But they're all coached to do that. But that's where I think the difference is, David. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think, I was kind of surprised. They seem to be, that's the way they do it now with what we think is the wrong hand. But I don't know whether Schmeichel it's because of the, he's trying to protect his side or whatever injury he had. But it just doesn't look right. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how it looks. He kept it out of the net, and it was a cracking save. Kept us well in it.
It's nice to see a keeper doing their job. Gushes Glasgow Celtic there. Glasgow Celtic CSC. Go with your left hand, says Begleg. Yeah, he should have gone with his left hand. What an idiot. Yeah, that's right. He also put it over the bar, as you can see from that, and out of the park. Difference is Sinisalo can jump, even though he's a white man. Hey, Shawnee?
Yeah, he's a
what
big
does an
boy
American
too.
say when it comes to basketball?
Well, white man can't jump.
That's right. See, dropping in a bit of American culture for you. Right, okay. What's next? 66 minutes. Oh yeah, Hatate has just played this ball to Araujo, which I see people gushing over. To me, it was, it's a sensible enough ball. Anyway, we can come on to that if you think that was the key moment in the build-up. But Araujo has just received it from Hatate. Jamesy in a bit of space. Jamesy just does what he does. He either beats the man or he puts the cross in, or he beats the man and puts the cross in. I mean, he needs to get Tenecti out in the training ground and have a word in his ear and say, would you just do this for Christ's sake once in a while? Anyway, puts the cross in, and there's Nygren onside, according to VAR. And as I said earlier, Stephen, I was really surprised that VAR didn't draw different lines and say, I'm afraid not.
Well, I mean, what other lines did you want them to draw? Did you want them to draw like a squiggly line or something, or one with a big hoop in it to have him on it? I mean, he's onside. That's probably as much as you can say.
I mean, there's all sorts of fun you can have with lines, as this Rangers supporter did, claiming it was the worst decision ever.
Yeah, that's
but
fine.
We've seen it a million times, haven't we? We've seen dodgy looking lines.
Yeah, we have. I mean, we've lost, or we've had goals ruled out multiple times this season for tight offside decisions, and the only thing I've ever said about it was if it's so tight that you need to draw a line like that, then the benefit of the doubt should go to the attacking player, and that's always been my line. And for me, that was always the rule, even before we had VAR. If the linesman was unsure, then he kept his flag down. So looking at it, there's a couple of camera angles you look at. He looks clearly onside. I agree with you, Gav. When I saw the first replay, I thought, oh shit, he's off. But then the more you see it and the sort of different angles you look at, and yeah, I think he's clearly on. But the fact that Rangers fans are bemoaning the fact today that one of these decisions went in our favour, VAR's done its job again, as it did on the weekend, and they've finally managed to get to the correct decision. So for all their bleating, for all their wailing and gnashing of whatever teeth they have left, they have to just accept it, and I think they all do. They have to accept he was onside, and it was a good goal.
Interesting. Gav, there, one of our own, doesn't accept that, David.
Gav, can I just point out, if you just go back to that photo?
Yeah.
The guy with the blue rinse, Maeda, is not the guy that's offside. I don't know if that's what Leanne's looking at, but
no.
but he's blatantly offside. He's blatantly onside. You can see that. That's still. You can see his leg is, literally a mile onside. There's me being biased again.
Well, again, I mean, the point I was making earlier about the decisions, talking to Shawnee, who's a referee of both football and basketball, do you think the fact that we were denied a subjective decision, the fact that we were denied a penalty on the basis of a subjective decision that his hand was close enough to his body, made it harder, do you think, then for us to be on the receiving end of a negative decision here?
I mean, it shouldn't be. I do think that gets into referees' heads sometimes. Hopefully not at this level, like when you're at the professional level. But yeah, for me, it's tough, and like Steven said, when I saw it first I thought he was offside live, and then when I saw the first couple stills they put, I'm like, oh shit, he's definitely offside. But I think the VAR in Scotland is not the best technology wise, so I think I think we benefited from it this time, whereas in the past we have lost goals. I can think of. I remember Kyogo last year at home. They chopped off one of his goals from just drawing lines at an impossible angle, I think, to decide. And I think the frame rate that they use for like when the ball is played off of Forrest's foot there, it's tough to get I think a proper spot where you would put that line where the offside would actually happen. So I think I 100% agree with Steven in that in those situations, I think it has to, if you can't definitively say that he was offside, it's got to go to the benefit of the doubt of the attacking team. So I think in this case that I think it worked out probably that way as it should, but I think we have been hurt by that in the past. I can think of like Jota's goal. I think we were playing at Motherwell, and they drew the lines from the other side of the field, and somehow we're able to chop off a goal with that. So I think it's poorly used, and the technology needs to be improved before they can I think get it 100% right in Scotland.
So we're talking about on the commentary, Peter Grant. Problem is the angle they show is hardly ever level with the play. This is entirely the case. And here's our regulation. Hail, hail from the world famous Bangkok Celtic Supporters Club. Just to warm the cockles of your heart there, David.
Hail, hail, Eddie. Another one who made it through, watched the whole game live yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Very good. What about this moment then, Stephen? Dyson Maeda continues his blistering form.
Well, this was an oh for fuck's sake Dyson moment, of which we are having more and more of as the season progresses. And you're thinking, I think there was about 12 minutes to go or something at this point. And you're thinking, here we go, put it away, and we can all just relax. That we can put down the blood pressure medication. We can all just sort of, in my case, I can go to work with my heart rate within the normal range after a good day's and a good, nice, comfortable victory. But no, he's made a horse's arse of it, and completely. I mean, he's just completely hooked it the wrong direction. I don't know what he was trying to do. But yeah, that the comment's spot on there. It's almost went out for a throw-in. He's missed by that much, which is quite something to miss by that much from that position.
I think you've got the wrong Christie here, Brown Warrior. Christie Moore had a better left foot than Maeda. But which Christie should that be, David?
Christie Burke.
No, not Christie Burke.
Christie Brown.
That was another
Christie Brown. That's My Left Foot. Of course, the other famous film by that guy that the Rangers fans love to revere, Daniel Day-Lewis. Another great Irish role that he played. Daniel Day-Lewis being an Irishman. He took Irish citizenship in 1993. So it's nice that the Rangers fans love him so much that they have him on banners. Yeah, so that was the last still I've got of the game. But yeah, the rest of the game was so tense. It should be a joke for a Thailand joke. Maeda has had more misses than the King of Siam. I was so tense watching the last few minutes of the game. And see when Donovan conceded that corner right at the death, I'm just like, pushed back in my chair, and I'm watching it, and my senses were all, hyper focused because I thought we were about to witness something heartbreaking here, Shawnee. And I was ready to throw things on the floor when we conceded the last minute equalizer.
I was feeling the same way, and I even right before that, Hatate, who was I thought really good again last night, just diving in on right at the edge of the box. And honestly, I do think he probably did make contact, and the Aberdeen left back kind of played through the contact. And if he went down, I mean, who knows? I mean, you could definitely see them giving a penalty there. They didn't really give another really good look at it, up close to see if there was contact, but it did make the Aberdeen player stumble a bit. But then he played through the contact, and it was just madness on Tate's part, diving in like that at that point in the game with the 1-goal lead. So yeah, that just fed my just sitting on the edge of my seat. Are we going to see this out? And then that, like you said, that corner that Donovan gave up at the end, you're like, oh shit, this is like poor timing to give that up. And I was watching through my fingers.
I think the thing about the Hatate lunch was it was a carbon copy of the penalty he gave away at home to Livingston, and that he just wasn't aware the player was there. The player was coming in on his blind side, and he's just got absolutely zero awareness that the guy's coming, and he's just kind of hung a leg out there. And I was the same. I thought, that was a oh for fuck's sake, real moment of which we're having
a lot of swearing going
quite
on
a few. I know. Well, I was in the pub this morning watching the game at 7 a.m. So I felt emboldened to use a few more swear words. So yeah, it was again dreadful play from Hatate, who I agree with Shawnee. I thought he had a good game. I thought he was pretty good, but he needs to cut that out, or it's really going to cost us.
Has there ever been a case of VAR sort of getting involved in those kind of things where the player doesn't go down? I mean, because why should the player going down influence things? I mean, if he drops to the ground or he doesn't. I mean, if it did cause him to stumble a wee bit, I mean, it would be shocking if VAR did do that. I mean, it would happen to us, of course, the first time in history, most likely. But anyone, any thoughts on that?
Yeah,
David?
that's true. Like, and
Sorry.
I go back to like when I reffed, and it's been a few years, but I do honestly I remember a play, and it's probably just what we're used to watching football on TV, professional level. But I remember one. I called a penalty in a person. I think it was a girls' game. Girl just kicked the girl straight in the shin, and you heard a massive thud. The girl goes, ow, doesn't go down, and tries to continue to play and gets knocked off the ball. I give the penalty, and the coaches are screaming at me like, she didn't even go down. And I was like, well, you don't think you have to. Like, there was strong physical contact on the girl's shin. Like, and I think in that case, yeah, you can give a penalty. But yeah, I'd have to see the replay again. But I don't feel like you see that happen at the professional level where you would give a penalty on something like that. Almost all the time they will go down if you're given something.
All right, here are the match stats then. 62% possession, 18 shots, only 4 on target. Corners equal. Yeah, I mean, nothing too commanding there, but the better side won the game, you have to say. Is that the only thing I've got? Don't have any player stats, player ratings. But we can talk about player ratings. Stephen, who do you want to single out for praise?
I know I did it at the weekend as well, but I would single out KT again, Kieran Tierney. And I know it's becoming a regular habit of mine of praising him, but I thought he was just absolutely excellent again, over and above his goal. And again, he's getting kicked all over the park again. He was on the end of a horrific challenge down about his lower ankle, which should have been a red card, 100%. But I thought he was outstanding, and he's probably at the moment he's our most important player, in my opinion. And his physicality and his running and his power is really dragging us on at the moment. And between him and Nygren, I think the two of them are carrying us at the minute, with a few people round about them doing a little bit inconsistent. So I think at this point in time, Kieran Tierney's head and shoulders above the rest.
Well, let's hope he's not injured as a result of that very bad challenge. But I've heard that
Yeah, I
myself.
mean, he was kind of grimacing. He was grimacing in pain for a lot of the rest of the game. But you would have thought if he was injured, they'd have took him off a bit earlier. I mean, they did take him. They took him off about 10, 15 minutes after that challenge. But you would have thought he'd have been straight off if they thought there was any chance of a serious injury. But I hope not, because that would be a big blow if he was to miss any games.
Certainly would. And we'll come back to talk about a couple of other players. Give you a time to think about it, Shawnee and David, as we listen to this quick word from our sponsor.
Every life is full of stories, and we all know someone whose story should be preserved. That's what an audio memoir is, a record of you or your loved one's life stories, family anecdotes, and poignant memories. We will talk online and then edit the recordings into episodes, accompanied by family photos and contemporaneous images of the past, creating an enduring audio-visual experience. We all know someone who deserves an audio memoir.
So, David, who would you like to talk about from last night's performance?
Yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about Arthur, but I think that going back to KT very briefly, I think he's got the top number of assists for us. I think he's very sadly, I think he's our second or third top goal scorer with a massive 5 goals. But for all the people that were saying at the start of the season that it's a waste of money, he's got brittle ankles, he'll play 3 games and then he'll be out for 2 months. I think he's played 41 games for Celtic. His contributions have been tremendous. The goal at the weekend, the goal last night. But he's been absolutely fantastic. His crossing, has been superb. I think that probably in the chat last night, I was getting a bit excited about Arthur. I think some people were saying he was like a young Van Dijk. For me, he started off a little bit. Yeah, exactly. But I think for me, he started the game a little bit sort of nervy. He had a couple of, his first touch was or his second touch was the proverbial tackle. But I felt he grew into the game, and then especially, I don't want to go back about scales, but I felt out of the two, he was the dominant, central defender. I think they showed some stats on Sky, but halfway through the game where he was first for headers, first for touches, first for a pile of things. So I think that there's a player there for sure, and I would like to see him with Trusty on Sunday.
Yeah, he's come in for a lot of praise. I think he played pretty well. I think he really played within himself. I mean, he was passing it back every opportunity he got for large swathes of the game. I mean, he'd only just was told 10 minutes beforehand he was going to be playing. So I think it was in his mind, just come on and don't make any big mistakes. So I'm not sure how much we saw of him really. But again, as we always say, opinion being split. Only 1 game, says AG, but love the look of Arthur. Big fella swaggered about that pitch with slippers on. Didn't even need to get out of second gear to win anything. Just an overall solid game. Looking forward to seeing more of him. To which Kersey replies, he was fine. Nothing more, nothing less. But fine is better than that big donkey Murray. You go along with that, Sean?
I agree. I think he was fine, and in that situation, fine is good. Like, he was thrown into a tough spot, getting thrown into the lineup the last second, and didn't like David said, a few poor touches, but recovered from them, and I thought he was just solid, and nothing, like, kept it simple, nothing spectacular. for me, I did want to. I was kind of disappointed. I did want to see Murray kind of get a run of games because I think he was outside of the error on Sunday. I thought he was really good, almost winning every header on Sunday in the second half. So like I feel like the kid never gets that run of games where he can kind of get more comfortable in the side. So now I don't know how serious his injury is, but maybe it is now. Arthur's chance to at least play on Sunday this week, and then because I think Trusty still probably has one more game suspension, so he may play against Motherwell next week. So I'm relatively comfortable with him in that spot. So.
All right, so where does all that leave us? Well, the table now looks like this. There we are up in second. And of course, Stephen, we play before Hearts, interestingly, before they next kick a ball. Our game is before theirs. So we have a chance, if we can beat Motherwell, then we will be 2 points behind Hearts. And we've yet to see, if you'll pardon the image, how squeaky McInnes's bum gets. Is that something you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I spend a lot of time thinking about Derek McInnes's bum. Yeah, look, I don't know. I can't. You're right. That is the facts of the matter. If we beat Motherwell, then we'll be 2 points ahead. 2 points behind Hearts, and I think 3 in front of Rangers before and either of those two teams kick a ball. So that's great. But the question is, can we beat Motherwell? Motherwell are on a really good run of form. They had another good win the other day there. And I don't know if we can, to be honest with you. I probably at the end of the game last night, I was a bit less confident about one, even though we won. I'm less confident now than I was at full time at Ibrox because it was just another example of us, turning in a really, really difficult to watch performance and just getting out with the skin of our teeth. And I was really hoping against Hope for a few goals, maybe nothing major, maybe a 2 or a 3-0 win, just something comfortable, just and a bit of form, a bit of some good passes of play, and something to show that we were on an upward trajectory. And all I really saw was, more of the same that we've seen already this season. We've dug deep and won the game, and that's great. But I just don't think you can't do that every week. And I think we're going to have to raise our levels a lot against Motherwell in particular. And certainly in the games where we've got Hearts and Rangers both to come to Celtic Park before the end of the season. And we've got to go to Motherwell again at their place. So we've got to find some form from somewhere. Some players are going to have to do a lot better. I hope that, it'll make a difference having guys like Engels back fit. Alistair Johnson apparently is going to be fit for the post-split fixtures. Callum Osmond might have a part to play as another striking option. So at the moment, I'm not that confident, but that can all change.
Well, let's talk about that, shall we, for a second? That Martin O'Neill expects Alistair Johnson to return in time for Celtic's post-split fixtures. It's a similar story for Callum Osmond. How exciting is the return of those two players, David?
Well, I think Callum Osmond is more exciting for me because we don't have a centre forward just now. In Schwanchera, obviously our forwards need, they need somebody to pass the ball to them. But for the last 2 games, Schwanchera and Adamu have shown nothing. I think Schwanchera holds the ball up well, and there were some nice touches. But for me, I'd be more excited about Osmond coming. I know that he only had a very fleeting glimpse of him in the first team, but it looked very, very optimistic about him. Alistair Johnston, he was people were thinking he was probably going to be our next captain for the foreseeable future. But I think Araujo he's been our one shining light in terms of our recruitment. Although of course it's another loan without the option to buy. But I think Araujo has been absolutely fantastic, not just for his for his game, but also a bit of a wind-up merchant that I think we haven't seen since Scott Brown. So it'll be great to see Alistair Johnston back. But for me, Callum Osmond, having someone who's an actual goal scorer. I mean, I think Nygren's got 18 goals, and then the second goal scorer after that's got 6. I mean, I don't know which of our forwards has got more than about 2 or 3. So yeah, we want all our good players back. But for me, Osmond is the one I'd be more excited about.
Well, there's certainly a bigger hole to fill where he plays. That's definitely true, as you say. Doogie the Sharp here, living up to his name, I'd say. He says all season we've said we need to find some form. And that is so true. I've been saying, we're scraping back up. We've got to get into form here. But, it's quite possible we can go the whole of the season without doing that. Just grinding out these absolute, tense games and somehow finding a way. I mean, do you really think that'll happen, he says now, with 9 games left? I don't think so. And, he might be right, but when we look at Hatate suddenly putting in a few performances and we look at these players coming back, when maybe have a striker who we got excited about for 10 seconds before he got injured, and Alistair Johnston, a bit of leadership quality coming back in and, kicking people up in the air a bit, things like that. And Arnie Engels possibly getting back in, there are, as I said, as the last show was called, reasons to be hopeful. So, yeah. Are you excited by Johnson coming back in? Do you think, Shawnee, he's going to unseat Araujo, who's probably the least popular player outside of Celtic fans? I would imagine they all hate him because he's a bit of a wind-up merchant.
He is good at that. I'm excited for Johnson to be back. Definitely, I don't know if he will unseat Araujo, but I think he's still a good option to have. And maybe somehow Martin finds a way to play both those guys at certain times in the game, not for 90 minutes. But I think it showed, especially particularly looking at the other side with KT, being a little bit injury prone and a little bit not able to play 90 minutes every week. Having Srirachi available, I think he's a classy guy to bring on and see out games or start a game and play the first 75 minutes and give KT a rest. I think the more depth we have at this point in the season, the better off it'll be. The more options that Martin has, to, like I said in the beginning, I think he's picking good lineups for the most part, but particularly those subs he's throwing on at the right time and to kind of change games in the second half with us constantly, like Gabby just said, having to grind out results, having options on the bench to be able to bring those guys on to make differences, I think is going to be helpful towards these last 9 games of the season.
Yep, and here is the form guide for, as it currently stands anyway. Oh, has that been updated? Do we win? Yeah, draw and win. Is that right? Anyway, according to this, Motherwell and Celtic are the 2 form teams in the country. Top of that table. So, yeah, that's going to be a tough game. And as you say, Stephen, if we put in a performance like that against them, we're going to get punished. So we do have to find a bit of form, or at least solutions to keeping them quiet, because they're a big, strong, hard-pressing, dangerous outfit.
Well, over and above that, Gav, we've got 9 games left. We're 5 points behind Hearts, so we need them to lose twice, right? And we're only playing them once, so we need them to lose another game, and also we need to win all of ours. So there's every chance that we now have to go the rest of the season, if not winning all the games. We certainly need to go unbeaten for the rest of the season. And we're looking for Hearts to drop points. So yeah, you're right. We can't keep winning single goal victories. Or one or two of them's going to turn into draws. And at this point of the season, that can be fatal for our championship chances. So we do need, maybe not the team as such needs to go on a run of form, but we need certain players to find form. We need to start finding goals from our strikers. Somebody has to start banging the goals in, whether that's Callum Osmond or whether Maeda stays through the middle. And it's a bit worrying that we're back to that again. Maeda through the middle as your sort of second choice striker. I mean, that was supposed to have been put to bed after the transfer window. I mean, we signed 2 strikers after all, but none of them really doing much at the moment. So it's going to be really tough. And I think we'll know a lot more after the Motherwell game. So if we can find a performance and get the win over them, then confidence will be really high. But it's going to be really tough.
Indeed it is.
Hello, lovely boys. I love the Celtic world. I do. Absolutely brilliant. If you haven't already, subscribe immediately.
Immediately. That's when you have to subscribe, David. Not at the end of the show or something. Just do
Definitely.
it right now. Just a click of a button.
Yeah,
That's all you got to do.
Get it done.
All right, so 2 minutes over the hour, so we better wrap it up. I've just got a few little light-hearted things to show us here. Did you see this guy, the longest scarf in Scottish football, David?
I didn't see
That
that.
is pretty long.
Yeah.
Scarves are such a fun thing, but you've got to be in a cold country for it. I mean, putting a scarf around your neck and when you live in the heat, it's just the worst thing you could possibly do. It gets sweaty and uncomfortable. Did you see this, Stephen? You like a nice shirt. Seen this post? If these end up being Celtic's 3 shirts next season, that's outstanding.
Yeah, particularly like the third kit. I thought that's a sensational offering from Adidas, and it's really going to test the not another penny campaign. I think if that's still going strong by next season, let's hope it's not, and the club have came to the party a little bit. But you've got three top selling kits there. I think for the first time in a long time, I'd be tempted to buy all 3, because all of them look pretty much the best set of kits Adidas have come out with. I love the away kit, the black and green striped one with the trefoil logo on it, and that looks great. And as I say, the third kit looks great too. So I think they'll fly off the shelves. But as I say, at the moment they won't be getting a single Aussie dollar from my bank account at the moment until things change substantially.
Good man. Sorry to Paddy Lavery. He sent me a really good video, this Cheers parody, which I didn't save and don't have at the hand. Paddy, I'm very sorry. And also, I did pass on to Brian the invitation to your event. So he will be... I'll put him in touch with you, actually. Can take it from there. So sorry, Paddy. My apologies. All right, let's end on something completely unrelated to football. We've looked into a few other sports recently, haven't we? We've had a little bit of snooker, bit of pool. We had the pole vault, otherwise known as the guy with the bendy stick, on the other night. But my son seems to be obsessed with whether people are left-handed or right-handed, and like people who are left-footed and right-handed, or all that kind of stuff. I don't know why he finds that so fascinating, but have you ever heard of someone being quadridextrous, where their hands and feet are both capable of amazing things, both hands and both feet? This is an artist, quadridextrous artist, creating multiple artworks at once. And I don't think this is fake, where you can't trust anything these days, but drawing with your hands and feet and producing like really excellent sketches. What do you think of that? You like that, Shawnee?
That's insane if it is real. Like, yeah, I can't even draw like that with my good
With your
right hand,
toes.
let alone my feet. So yeah, that's unbelievable.
Unbelievable, as in probably not believable.
No, I know there are people capable of doing amazing things like that. So yeah, I mean, I would like to see it in person, but yeah, that's.
So, I mean, anything could be AI slop these days, couldn't it? You just don't know. And when they eventually do produce these videos of Trump, that are being held over his head and causing him to, blow the entire world up, he's just going to say those are fake. That's AI. These
Yeah, it
grainy
is.
images that have been in Epstein's drawers.
It's true. It is built. The world is building up to that, like where you can deny anything because of that, or create anything too. So I don't use
Well,
AI. I don't use AI at all. So I don't even know how to do it.
well, that's artificial intelligence, but I would like to thank all three of our contributors for their very real and natural intelligence tonight and wonderful contributions. Thanks too to everyone in the chat for all of your wonderful contributions as well. It's always a delight to sort of canvass the views in the chat, and it's amazing to me that there's never any agreement really on anything among Celtic fans. But hail, hail! This is a great Celtic show. I listened to it during my driving shifts up in Northern Ireland. Okay, all right. Good for you, Lackbinder pal. This woman's also the best barmaid in Glasgow. That's right, she could pull a few pints. Pretty sharpish. Boosty there? Is that Sean Boost? I think it probably is. Great show, lads, says Typhon McFlustery. Okay, well, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, one and all. The next game coming up is obviously the Cup game. We haven't even touched on that. So do we want to just quickly give us score predictions for the Cup game, and how much do we care about it, Shawnee?
I don't care about it as much as I have in years past. I'm more focused on the league, but I do care about it. So I'm going to go 2-1 Celtic.
Stephen?
I think we win the tie on penalties.
David?
So this season.
How much do you care if that happens or not, Stephen?
Like it's the least important game over the next 10 days. The Motherwell game is far more important, and last night at Aberdeen was far more important. So, look, as long as if we avoid a hammering and lose the game, I won't be shedding too many tears. Obviously, morale boosting win would be good, but I think it'll be tight. And I think it will be, I think it might go to extra time and maybe go to penalties. But we live in hope, and we come out on the right side of that.
David?
Well, it's a game against the Huns, so you always want to win. Also, when we beat them 4-1, as I confidently predict, it knocks them out of the cup, because the winner of the Scottish Cup this year goes into the Europa League, whereas the team that's second and third in the league only gets the conference. So it's an opportunity for us to keep them in their place. And 4-1, definitely. You're welcome to watch at the world famous Bangkok Celtic Supporters Club rooftop.
Yes.
At any time. We'll be there from 8 o'clock. Thank you.
All right. If you want to see him in real life, you know where to go there, Blackbinder. Okay. Thank you, lads. Always a pleasure. We're back on Monday, and we'll be discussing what happened in that game and what's coming up thereafter in this incredibly exciting season. Cheers, lads. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.